That was your posture as you left. That's our posture as we follow Jesus into each day. That's the posture of the Israelites at this moment at Mizpah. One author notes that as the Philistines come, the Philistines are technologically, militarily, and administratively more powerful, more advanced than the Israelites. And there the Israelites stand empty-handed before the Lord, entrusting themselves fully to the Lord God Almighty, who promises to come to the aid of his people. And he does. On this moment, as Israel reconstitutes themselves, recommits themselves collectively, they urge Samuel to pray, and the text says that on that day the Lord responded, he heard, and he thundered with a loud thunder against the Philistines, and they panicked, and they fled, and they were routed before the Israelites and slaughtered. What a moment. Empty-handed before the Lord, not clinging to anything that can be seen. They put their trust fully in the one who cannot be seen, and the Lord comes to their aid. So, Samuel does something really wise. He sets up this stone, this Ebenezer, a stone of help. Sometimes this is necessary. For us, it's really helpful because we can't see that which is unseen. But here's something solid, symbolic, significant, that points to what is really true. Samuel sets up this Ebenezer, and he says, thus far, the Lord has helped us. Even to this point. Think back through the stories, Abram, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, through the desert, even to this point, thus far, the Lord has helped us even now, even with these Philistines. It's a lasting memory. Every time they saw that stone, it would have jogged the memory. They would have heard a story. Their faith would have been spurred. They may have trusted more. These stones help us. We can't see that which is unseen, but it jogs our memory. So, of course, we, situated where we are in history, we look back on the most significant, if you want to call it in that way, the most significant Ebenezer. The one that rolled away, the stone that rolled away when the King of Glory was risen. Here's the one that gets our attention. We note that sometimes following Jesus seems to be the illogical thing to do. Maybe it looks foolish. Maybe it looks like sure defeat. But the Israelites were learning, just as we are learning, that looks can be deceiving, because when Jesus surrendered himself to his Father and submitted then even obediently to death, we come to find that not even that would defeat him. Because he's risen victoriously, and then he calls us to follow him in joyful victory, even if sometimes following looks like we're following in defeat. But death doesn't win. Death had no hold on Jesus, and it's assurance to us that even if we as his followers were to follow him to the point of laying down our lives, we know that we're not defeated either. That's the only way those priests could have done what they did. It's the only way that we dare to pledge our allegiance to Jesus in the midst of whatever circumstances we might face. It's because we know that even if it came to the point of surrendering to death, we're not defeated. So that's the most significant Ebenezer we have, the stone that rolled away that testifies to the fact that the grave could not hold Jesus. And yet we continue to set these stones up because they remind us that as the Lord proved faithful at Mizpah, and as the Lord proved faithful post-Calvary, so the Lord continues to prove faithful. These stand as testimonies to the fact that the Lord God is the Lord Almighty who helps. So the participants on the Guatemala trip, they're going to infuse this stone with some stories now. It becomes a lasting testament to us of the fact that the Lord Almighty is the one who helps, and he continues to help. So we're going to listen to their stories in that framework. We're going to hear what the Lord did going before this group, through this group, for the people in Guatemala, how he continues to be their help as well. So we're glad you were able to go. We're really glad you're back. And now we're glad that we can hear some of your stories as you testify to us about how the Lord God Almighty continues to deliver and help his people. So would you come forward and share with us at this time?
All right, so we want to first to start out by saying thank you for your financial support and prayers. And thank you to Ross and Kathy for opening this door for us and being able to join them on this life-changing experience. And we got to the mission house late Thursday, and it was about a 45-minute drive from the airport. And to get to the mission house, we had to go through a kind of bumpy and rough dirt road, which sucked to go through, drive through every day. And we had to go up this steep and also bumpy driveway to get to the mission house. And actually, our van couldn't get up one day. And so I was expecting the mission house to be kind of run down and not very nice, but it was actually really nice in there. There were 2 floors. In the first floor, there was a kitchen, a small dining room, and the floors for the girls and some other rooms. And then the second floor, there was a big open space, and that's where we did our morning worship, and where most of us ate and played cards at night, and where the guys' rooms were. And in each room, there were 2 bunk beds and a regular bed, and each room had their own bathroom and shower, so it was really nice. So, yeah, it was a real nice place to stay. And on the trip, we went with about 40 others from Alabama, and they were from 3 different churches, so they weren't from all one group. And I was expecting most of them to be like high schoolers like us, but they're all like in their 20s and older. So I wasn't expecting that. And since they're all Southern, it was really fun to argue the right way to say words. So that was fun. And it was really nice to get to know them, and became friends with them at the end of the week. So it was nice.
So in the mornings, after we had breakfast, we went up to the room upstairs that he was talking about to have devotions. And we had that every day, even on Sunday. And at the start of devotions, Dr. Rex from Alabama led us in worship. And then after that, we had a different speaker every day come up to talk about whatever they felt moved to talk about. And it was one of the most important parts of the day, because that's the part that we got to just sit around and enjoy each other's company and talk about God and his faithfulness in our lives. And one day during devotions, there was a family that came forward that had a school and an orphan home for girls. They came forward and they talked about their program, and it was a very touching story. And Pastor Teddy surprised them by announcing that over $10,000 had been donated to their school to keep it running well over a year. And a lot of people started crying because it was such a good God moment. And yeah, that was one of the most important parts of the day.
So, I am going to talk about the Fitting Center. When they told me to go there, I thought it was just a place where you go and eat, which I was right, but not really. Because it's more, the feeding center is a church on Sundays where all the Guatemalan people go there and like they pray and they sing together and they have a great time. And on the week from 12:30 to 3 o'clock, that was the time when I went, it's to all the kids from different schools, they go there and they eat